All right. Tuesday practice in the books. Excited to get a great challenge, go on the road this week. Was proud of the guys for winning last week, and once you go back and look at the film, we got better. But now we got to go on the road, I think, 3 of the next 4 weeks, and started off with going to Clemson, which is, one of the hardest places to play in America. So great challenge. Our guys are excited with the opportunity. It was a rematch, a lot of different faces on our side for sure, but rematch last year's championship game. It ended up being a really good game, and so hopefully we can go in there and give them a good game this year.
What stands out about this Clemson team to you off the jump?
Just loads of talent. I mean, look, all the preseason accolades were right. Struggled a little bit early the last 2 weeks. I think they're hitting their stride. Defensively, it's, I think, statistically the second best defense in our league. They're one of the best defenses in the country, and they should. I mean, it starts up front. Their D-line, they're number 1 in the country with the quickest pressure rate on a QB. They got a couple NFL DNs, a couple NFL D tackles, and the second group isn't a big drop-off. So great depth there, and they're big too, and really experienced linebackers. So they can stop the run, and then, at corner, I think the Terrell kid is as good as we'll see all year. He was last year. But they're all good on the back end. They play really good team defense, and I think they're hitting their stride offensively now too. They, like anybody, I mean, we've gone through some ups and downs. It takes you sometimes, even if you think you know what you have going in, sometimes offensive football takes a little bit longer to get going. I think they've settled in on how they're running the football. They've got weapons. They're healthy now. They weren't healthy at the beginning of the year either at receiver. Got 3 or 4 really big weapons. Cade's a great player, and so, I mean, they're a complete team, and I think that's what you're finding now in college football with all the parity and week in, week out, anything can happen, that you can't just look at records like you used to could. They did like we did. They went into the bye week and kind of figured out whatever they need to for this year, and they've played really well the last 2 weeks out of the bye week. So I would say they're getting right at the right time for us to be coming to town.
You mentioned after this past game against Stanford, the team sort of creating their own energy, running out of the locker room. How important could that be when you're trying to start fast on the road and try and take away the crowd as much as you can?
Yeah. I mean, it's always important on the road because you got no one to help you, right? Everything's against you. Whereas at home, you have a home crowd, a student section, whatever. Energy's a weird deal. Every team's different. Some teams are just kind of consistent, not a lot of emotion, but they play with great intensity. That's fine. Some teams need the emotion. We want guys to be themselves and play with a lot of passion between the white lines. And this team may look different than last year's team in the future. And I think this team's figured out who we are. I thought they were really ready to play last week. And then obviously in the second half, I thought we started well compared to maybe what we'd been doing. So whether that's energy, focus, intensity, we just got to find what that is for us. I think this group is starting to learn who they are. We're starting to learn who they are. You really want to always start fast on the road because it's hard enough to win on the road. If you're digging out of a hole, it's even harder. So a fast start isn't necessary to win, but it sure helps the cause.
You mentioned starting fast. Just how important is the opening drives for you guys offensively and defensively to set the tone in this type of a matchup?
It's important. Like I said, a fast start doesn't guarantee a win, but it certainly helps. And a poor start doesn't guarantee a loss, but it maybe makes it tougher. So, look, we always want to start fast, stay strong, and finish strong. That's kind of our mentality. But it definitely helps on the road. You're going to have a loud crowd, great environment. And obviously if things go well early for the home team, it just fuels their momentum and their belief. And makes it harder, for you to overcome that adversity. Whereas you're going to fight adversity during the game, but if out of the gates you could start well, then it kind of helps you, settle into the game quicker.
And obviously you faced this team last year, and they bring back the most returning production out of anybody in the country. So what's that like when a lot of those faces, but they've brought in a new defensive coordinator who you also face. So what's that whole process like?
There's familiarity. I mean, we both played each other, 7 games ago or whatever it was. We have some similarities, our quarterback, et cetera, and coordinators, but we got a lot of new faces, and they don't have as many new faces, but the ones they do are really good. I mean, Will's an unbelievable DN, and on and on and on. So Familiarity is good for both sides. They have a pretty good idea what we do. We have a pretty good idea what they do. This is a player's game. It's a competitor's game. You know, when you have two championship caliber teams over the last few years playing in a big game, in a big environment, just like we did last year in the championship game, it's going to come down to who can compete and win more one-on-ones than the other. They're going to get us. We're going to get them. We've got to do a good job of weathering the crowd and the atmosphere and not letting that dictate the game to where we can just let it be played on the field. And then it just comes down to who wins more of the battles, the one-on-one battles, play after play, than the other group, you know. And so at the end of the day, familiarity helps, but it's a player's game. And this, if you love to play, this is what you want to play in. If you're a competitor, you love to play in these games on both sides, and it's what we love about college football.
These two quarterbacks being from Texas, a little bit of bragging rights, I'm sure, but I think they both know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
What's that like as far as that dynamic and just kind of managing, all the emotions between two Texas guys going at it, I guess?
Yeah, I'm sure they don't think about it. I mean, they know each other. We did it last year. They both played really well in that game. I think it just continues to speak to the talent level in the state of Texas. And high school quarterback development in this state is second to none. That's why more quarterbacks come out of this state than anywhere every year. So Clemson was smart enough to come to Texas to get their quarterback. We're fortunate enough to get to stay in Texas to get ours. So, but no, I mean, I remember recruiting Cade when I was at Miami and just have the utmost respect for him as a person, as a player, as a leader. He's really good, and obviously we know what we think about Kevin.
With you getting another chance to coach against Dabo, I know he's somebody that you respect. Just what did you take away from your first time coaching against him, and just kind of the chess match that goes on between coaches?
His teams are always prepared. They're used to winning. They expect to win. I think in the last 10 years, they've only lost 7 home games. They've just created that winning championship culture and expectation. I mean, they won 8 out of the last 10. He's the patriarch of coaches in our league. And so they have set the standard for the ACC in the last decade of what it should look like. And so, in order to try to get our program to that level where year in, year out, that's the expectation, that's the reality. You have to be able to play teams like that and find a way to beat them. And then again, we try to study a lot of what they've done because it works. And so I just got a ton of respect for how he does it, the consistency he's done it with, the way in which he's done it, and the commitment to believing in how they do it. Like, he hadn't let the times or anything else or any outside pressures change how they do things, and that's what we try to do in our own way here. And so there's a reason they've won. They haven't won just because they've had really good players. It helps, but they've had really good players. They've had a culture, a program that fits and works, and everybody's on the same page.
And good. And just kind of building off that, the expectations in college football, James Franklin gets let go. Just fresh off of a playoff run. What are the expectations like in college football relative to maybe what they've been in the past in certain places?
I think probably in coaching, expectations have always been unrealistic. That's just kind of part of the job you sign up for, but it's getting out of hand. Every other coach has already opined on it, so I don't have to go overboard with it. But James Franklin, guys, was in the Final Four last year, has as consistent of a 12-year run as there's been. If winning a national championship is the only standard of success at certain places, or winning a conference championship is the only standard of success at certain places, then we've probably allowed greed and unrealistic expectations to change what this game's all about. We all want to win. We all know if we don't win, that's the job. We sign up for it. The volatility, the almost like an independent contractor part of our business is what it is. I don't think you hear coaches complain about it. But when a guy was in the Final Four last year, ranked number 2 in the country, and had an overtime thriller with Oregon a few weeks ago, and then he loses 2 games that they on paper shouldn't lose, and you move on, why didn't you you clearly were ready to move on long ago, I guess. There's, I don't know, what, the last 20 years, how many different teams have won a national title? Is it even 10? Is it? In 20 years, I don't think so. I think you could probably count on 2 hands. Man, so it's hard. but nobody feels sorry for us. James did a great job there. That more than anything, not just winning, the consistency of winning. And if you're anywhere for 12 years, someone's going to find your warts and scabs. Oh, he didn't win enough big games. Oh, he didn't win a national title. Okay. But what about all the great things that were done that aren't being done other places? So we'll see. I mean, it's their world, their business. I hate it for all these coaches that are getting let go early in the season. I also hate it for the players. Like, these kids signed up to play. Like, can we let them finish their season? And hopefully, I don't know, hopefully with the portal moving to January and there's not quite as much urgency to have your coach by the middle of November or December 1 as there has been the last few years. Maybe that'll make it like it used to be, where pretty much everybody gets to the middle of November and it allows people to finish. But it's the way it's gone, and I don't know if it's going to change.
You mentioned Clemson using their bye week to their advantage, and SMU had an early bye week as well. Does it seem like these are two teams now that are starting to hit their stride and, in some cases maybe playing better than some people's perspective of them?
Yeah, I think, kind of going back to starting the game, first impressions, we both lost some early games. So in this what have you done for me now world, everybody moves on and thinks, oh, well, they don't go, wait a minute. Those were two teams ranked to start the year, played in the conference championship, played in the playoff last year, have good players returning, and have played good football the last few weeks. That's fine. So yeah, we're probably both going in this game flying under the radar, and a game that probably had a lot of preseason matchup hype. It's the same game. It's the same big game with big implications for both teams. At the same point in the season, it's just we look at records and we look at rankings that are just random by a bunch of humans. I vote in one of the polls. I'm one of those random humans. It's the same game we thought it was going to be. It should be a really good football game if we're able to do the things that we need to do to compete and give them a game. So, no, I do think both teams are playing better now than we were in week 2, and that should be the case.
Any injuries you can update?
If I miss one, just ask. I'm trying to think. So, PJ is still limited in practice, but it was good that we didn't have to play him last week. Terry Webb got banged up in the game, came back. We had one other was the same. Marcellus Bryant, same thing, came back. I don't think we were any worse for it coming out of last week's game than we were. Some of the guys that were out last week or game time decisions are probably similar, like Adam Moore, PJ. I'm trying to think. There's Smoke. Yeah, Smoke had just a bruised quad and tried to go and just couldn't run last week. So he didn't really play hardly at all last week, just a couple plays. So we're optimistic that he'll be much better and available this week. We went into the game not thinking we'd get much out of him, and we'll know probably better Thursday, Friday, but hopefully that loosens up. Zay Gentry. So Zay suffered a knee injury that's going to require him to have a minor procedure, and he's probably done for this year, but we expect him to make a full recovery and be back for next year. Anybody else? All right. Have a good week.